I've played OpenTTD for over 20 years, but today we're doing something I have never done before. I'll be getting my coding hands dirty and adding a brand new feature directly into this fantastic free game. Hello there, Master Hellish here, and welcome to a very special OpenTTD video. To help me navigate the codebase, I'm once again joined by OpenTTD developer Too Tall Tyler. He's going to guide me through building, testing, and submitting the update that I want to add to the game. It's not really about learning to code. No, this is about fulfilling what is sort of a lifelong prophecy, to leave a permanent mark on my absolute favourite game. I'm so excited to be actually doing this. So let's see how I can pull this off. The concept is essentially add a feature to the game, right?
Yeah, I mean, you've been doing work with scripts, game scripts for OpenTTD, and we talked about your feature wish list, and I said, this is so easy. And then I said, what if we did another video where I taught you how to do it yourself?
In addition to me wanting to do that anyway, because I think it was a great idea, and it's the sort of thing I'd love to get into, I think it's also great for people to see how, in theory, easy it can be. Whenever I'm doing any code, I have to get ready for such a thing. So I have this coding hat that I wear, and it started off as a joke, but now I can't not. So there we go. I'm now in developer mode. Maybe I should do a small disclosure on my particular background, because we heard about yours in the interview that we did. So I did do software engineering, software development at university. So in theory, I should know what I'm doing. However, that was a very long time ago now. And I was one of the people that, service desk and IT support and all this sort of thing, and many different roles which I enjoyed, but I hadn't touched development. And then only very recently, I got a role as a junior developer, and I thought, yes, I'm going to get my teeth into this. I'm going to start skilling up again. I'm going to start learning all these new features. Unfortunately, the company went into administration, and I started becoming a content creator. So I have very old knowledge that I've forgotten. That's my position. So it's a very weird, strange state to be in, to kind of understand everything, but also be so lost at the same time. So let's see how we can navigate this.
So we'll start off by figuring out what you want to change.
When I suggested one of them, and you said, "Oh, that would be a good one to get started," or "That would be a nice little one for somebody to do," there was a little smile from you, and I felt it. And which one was it now? Was it the maximum reliability of a vehicle?
Yeah.
Or was it the other one, train length? No, it wasn't train length, was it? It was the maximum reliability of a vehicle.
So since we recorded that interview where I talked about train length, I have a pull request open to add the train length, and it's considerably more than what we had proposed. So what we should work on today, I think, is adding the maximum reliability.
Right, okay. So I'm going to switch screens and jump in. Now, I've attempted to set up Visual Studio. I've got OpenTTD as a repo, and last time I tested it, I seemed to be able to build, and that seemed good.
Yeah, that is the number one step. Is you need to be able to build OpenTTD so you can test whatever you've created. Go to Git, and then is there a new branch option?
Let's see, we had to push things. Yeah, there is a new branch option right there.
Yeah, try that.
Okay, it wants a branch name.
Yeah, it's showing at the bottom right. You are now on the max reliability branch.
Yeah, there we go.
Great. I learned something new today. I didn't know I could do that in Visual Studio. What we do when we're developing OpenTTD is we only ever touch English. All the other languages are handled by the web translator tool. And in fact, web translator will often overwrite anything you do. So if you try and make a change, like in a pull request to a language that's not English, the web translator will often ignore what you've done. We'll be touching for this project. We'll be touching English.txt, and we'll be touching one of the GUI files. So we need to figure out which file it's in. one of the easiest ways to find, especially if you're changing texts and stuff, is figure out what the string says and then search for it in the English. Just buy a vehicle and open its info window.
And there is the vehicle information window.
Yeah. So you were looking for reliability, 83%, breakdown since last service, 0. And now I would just search for, which is Control F, breakdowns since last service.
Okay, let's find all instances of that. Oh, well, it's found 2. One of them in English and one of them in English AU, presumably Australian.
Yeah, you don't need that one. At the far left, it's str, vehicle info, reliability, breakdowns. That is the name of the string, so that is the identifier. That is what we will use that key to find the code. Inside the curly brackets, those are string codes. So black and light blue are colors. Comma is a variable, so it lets you put a number in there.
We've done a little bit of this before because we've done it for when putting like news notifications up inside of from scripts and things like that. So in the community, this is something we have looked at a little bit in terms of language files. But the I remember I seem to remember that I wanted to do a new line, and trying to find out how to do a new line was quite challenging because pretty much none of the examples that I was trying to use had it already. So I was going through loads of different scripts just seeing if anybody had done it before, and eventually I found an example and I managed to do it. But yeah, documentation and examples is the way forward with things like that. Yes.
Unfortunately, with open source projects where everyone is a volunteer, sometimes documentation is the least exciting thing to get to do.
Yeah. I thought that I'm guessing now, I thought we were going to take that string and search it in all files to see what
you can do that. However, it'll also show you every single language that it appears in. So you have to scroll through that. So you can do that. If you want to do that, go for it.
You know what? Because I wouldn't have known where to go to.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to give that a go, and we can always go back and say, well, no, that was a bad idea. So let's find them all. And like you say, you've got all the language options that are showing up here, but it looks like it's categorizing them by folder. So if I minimize that folder, there is actually just 2 results here. They are from the same file by the looks of it. I'm not 100% sure at the moment. Like I said, I'm not used to this interface. Are we going to... Oh, there it is.
There it is.
There's one of them.
This one, I suspect you will not need to change. So update widget size is... It just changes... It figures out how big the window needs to be based on the size of what's in the window. So you can see it's... so that minimum size, when it won't get any smaller, that is what that function is calculating. And it's also calculating when you open it, it starts at that size.
Right, yeah.
I learn something new about OpenTTD every day. I'm wondering if this might be you today. If you hover over the green bar of any of those windows and scroll your scroll wheel up.
Right, okay.
Did you know about that?
No, I did not know about that. That's cool.
I learned that about that within the last couple of years.
We get surprised by so many things.
So go to the other hit for it.
Okay, so the other one is this one where it's using the drawString function with the getString function, and then this is what the string is trying to do. It's using that. What's the word for that particular syntax? There is
that's the string ID.
The string ID. Okay, yeah.
What this does is it gets the string ID, and then it puts in. So remember there are 2 commas. Comma string codes in that. So the first comma string code gets reliability, and the second one is breakdown since last service. So those next two, so the arguments are the string ID, and then whatever information you want to sort of inject into those string codes.
Yep.
So
sorry to interrupt you, but I don't want to. I want to give myself the opportunity here before you give me an answer. in case you were about to give me an answer. So, now that I've seen the code, is the kind of basic play here we need to add another argument that is going to be passed, and we pass another argument into that string, and we'll have another comma bit in there. I don't know exactly what your plan was in terms of the formatting. I was thinking maybe it would just be in brackets after the other one or something. But essentially, we're going to have to add one more argument into what is already there to be able to then display this extra piece of information.
Yes.
We go back to the English text.
Yeah.
And we look back in here. You can see that we've got this comma keyword and the percent. And if we check in OpenTTD, the age in years is just a space. There's not like anything else, and then you've got your brackets. Now, I don't know if brackets require a keyword, but if they don't, then in theory, you would then just be this would be what we need to do.
Yes, I think you probably would want. You probably want a percent symbol after that inside the parentheses.
Yeah, I agree. That would be a good thing to have there, yeah.
Yeah, but that, I believe, is all that you need to add to the string.
To this string. But
right.
This particular string ID and the syntax that we've got here, it requires this now extra piece of information being passed to it. So we have to now go back to the other file and provide that information.
Bingo.
Now, presumably, as per the languages that I've dealt with in the past, these sorts of things are done sequentially. So we're looking at adding something in here.
Yep.
What do we add? Because at the moment, I have no... Actually, no, wait. You know what? We've got V and then this symbol and reliability. V, presumably, is a some sort of syntax for the vehicle object.
Yeah, so scroll up to find the first use of V.
Oh, okay.
And you can,
here we go.
In this function.
There it is. I found it. Right. So it's been declared as a constant near the top of this draw widget function.
Yeah, and it's a pointer to the vehicle. Yeah, so now you're right. Now you're looking at the vehicle data structure.
Yeah. So for anybody you wouldn't have seen my keyboard at the time, I pressed F12. I don't know why F12. It was kind of instinctive. So what that did, it took me to a brand new location. I'm not exactly sure where.
It's at the top right. You're in vehicle-base.h.
Oh, yeah, there it is. Yeah. And this is essentially, correct me if I'm wrong, the definition for that vehicle object.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So we can see in here what makes it up, what attributes it has, presumably what functions it has. Mm-hmm. Yeah, begin loading and all this sort of thing. Fantastic. So then somewhere in here, I would expect to see some sort of definition of its maximum reliability potentially. Or it would have like a type, and then the type would have the maximum reliability.
Yes. So you hit it exactly. Vehicles have a type. So in OpenTTD code, there are vehicles, which are specific units that can move around the game world. And then there are engines, which are the type.
This is this list of vehicles here that you're seeing here. So these are the engines.
Yeah, so those are engines. So they have a max reliability. And then the one that you have already purchased, which is sitting in the depot, that is a vehicle. So your vehicle has a reliability, which is the reliability of that one vehicle. The maximum reliability of all vehicles of that type is stored in the engine.
Because I've touched a few languages over the years from, my job and uni and messing around with things. I don't think I've ever done C++ before. I think I've managed to completely sidestep it somehow. C#, I did a little bit once, and I even did Java. That was I did it in uni. My main my actual dissertation was a Java application, which hopefully I'll never have to do ever again. But yeah, okay. So what's this here? What's this notation there? What does that mean?
That is a type of variable.
Mhm.
So if you've seen int, we have int in OpenTTD, but we also have more specific types. So this is an unsigned 16-bit integer.
Okay. Like it starts at 1 reliability, it goes up to a point and stays there for a while, and then it comes back down again later in those 3 phases. Is that what those variables are then?
Yes, and right below it, you've got 3 variables for duration phases, and the comments actually explain that.
Yeah, if I'd have read the comments, that would also help, yeah.
That's how I know. I read the comments while you were talking.
So what we want is the engine of the vehicle that we're currently looking at's reliability, and that will be its current reliability.
Yep.
So, I mean, if I was guessing at syntax and I had no idea, in this case, what I would probably have done is I'd have done like something like v dot the engine object dot reliability and hoped that would work. But I think that sort of syntax is not going to be the case here. So maybe we should have a look at that together. What am I supposed to be doing here? Let's see. How do we get that we've found and put it in here? What we're looking for? Yeah.
So you are very, very close. You just have to use the right syntax. Do you see how these current accessors are v and then sort of like an arrow?
Yeah.
That's the syntax you need.
So that would, for me, that's the reliability of the vehicle. We need it of the engine of the vehicle. You can't just chain them together or something like that, can you? Or
sure you can.
Do we need to call a function, save the result and throw that in here, or?
You could add a variable to get the engine, but if you're only using it once, I don't think you have to. I think you could just do v get engine reliability.
Right.
Remember you
okay.
have that get engine function?
Yeah, bear with me a second. I'm just trying to remember where has it switched over? There it is, get engine. Okay. So if we jump back to where I was. So I've already copied this 2% 16 function because I guessed because we used it previously to get a value in the right format, we're probably going to need it again. And then we're going to do, is it this? Is it this syntax here, the way I've done it?
Looks right to me.
Okay. Interesting. So with those 2 relatively small changes, in theory, it should at least work.
Let's try it. Compile and see what happens.
I'm guessing I have to save these files before I compile. It said build started, and it's doing some stuff. Build failed. I broke it. I broke OpenTTD. There we go, everybody. Game over. It's all sorted. No, I've broke it. It's all done.
Okay, so click no.
Okay.
And somewhere you should have an error list tab. Not something I've seen before. That looks like a compilation sort of error and not a you did something wrong with the code error. Try delete cache and reconfigure.
I think I had to do that at some point to make things work when I first started setting up the project.
CMake is a little finicky sometimes.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever had a project like this where I've had to compile it like that.
Yeah, scripts are interpreted and not compiled. I much prefer compiled languages personally. Like I've done some projects with TypeScript and JavaScript and a fair amount of Python. Python is fine because you only do simple things, but like I much prefer a nice language that tells me when I've done something wrong.
That's different. It's doing stuff now.
Okay. So we reconfigured, reset CMake. Yeah, so now it's building. So you changed English, but like every other language does not have the same number of parameters. So what that does is it invalidates that string. So anyone who's playing, let's say you have someone playing in German. they will see the English string that you changed instead of the German string, because the German string has the wrong number of parameters, has the wrong number of commas, so it wouldn't work properly.
At least
So
it falls back and just doesn't go wrong completely.
Exactly. So it falls back, and then in the web translator, it marks that string as outdated or invalid or something, and then the translator gets that in their to-do list to redo.
And we are in. Ooh, okay.
Let's test it.
Let's test it. Let's just make sure we've got no scripts or anything. Get rid of the AIs. Don't want them. Turn off the new GIFs. I want a blanker test as possible. Because if something's going to make something go strange, I want to know what it is when it does. So, okay. Here we go. Well, the game's been built. So we'll get a depot down. We'll have a look here at the vehicle list. Oh, yeah, there's lots of vehicles in there. There we go. The interesting part, no, the most interesting part was the surprise from the people that play with breakdowns. I think they just assume every new player comes into OpenTTD and goes, oh, well, better turn breakdowns off. Like, not necessarily every player knows that they can just do that for a start. Yeah. There's a lot of advanced options in there. And yeah, I think it's an interesting surprise for most of those people. I've also been trying to delay and have as much conversation as possible before I click this window button, because partially because I'm, it might not work and I've broken the game, but also, content. People have got to wait to find out whether this has worked or not. So let's delay no longer. And there we go. There we go. It's there, 96% in brackets. It's different to the current reliability, which is weird, actually, because the current reliability is a brand new vehicle. It hasn't gone anywhere yet. Oh, okay. Well, there we go. It is, maximum is 96, so we know that for sure. So then if we go for a new vehicle, oh, it says 96 there as well. We keep an eye on this one too. Buy a new vehicle, have a quick look. Yeah, it's losing reliability, just sat there. Okay, so it looks like the change I've made is working.
It does, yeah. Oddities about reliability decreasing in the depot aside, yes, you've got the maximum in there. It formatted the same way as the vehicle age, where the parentheses are blue. Yeah, I think that is working well. What I would suggest is do some more testing.
Well, it seems that, at least for now, I've managed to improve the information about breakdowns to these particular vehicles, and we can now see their maximum reliability. The maximum isn't changing when they're in the depot. Now, presumably, that maximum would change over time. So now I'm going to do another test. I'm going to go back in and fast forward the game and see... it probably... Would it change in the window in real time? I don't know.
Let's find out.
Oh, that's the one that was 90-something, wasn't it, previously?
It was 96, I think.
Yeah, and this one that's 40, I think, was 37. So they have changed.
Yeah.
Okay. They have
I think you're ready to open a pull request.
Oh, no.
And ask the developers of the game, would you like to have this in the game?
Okay, hang on a second. I've got two different versions of OpenTTD running by the looks of it. Yeah.
Okay, so that's 15.2. What you want, I would keep that open, because what you want to do is show a before and after.
Ah, yes, that's a good point.
And now this shows you at the top left where it says unsaged changes. That shows you what you've changed.
Yeah.
So you can see exactly what you've done. You can make sure you have the same number of spaces. You can make sure you haven't accidentally changed another line while you were at it. And right click in there. Stage hunk for commit.
Okay.
And then commit.
Okay, so that is that. Okay, so there's commit, yeah?
Yep, and this adds a commit to the branch we made at the beginning of this process.
Yep.
That branch and the commit on it live on your computer. They're not on GitHub yet. So you have your own GitHub repository of OpenTTD. And what you'll do is click push, and that'll push this change to your fork of OpenTTD. And then the pull request says, here is my fork of OpenTTD. I would like to take the commits that are different from my fork and make them and bring them over to the OpenTTD. We will never make fun of you if you're having a hard time with GitHub. Sometimes people will like update the pull request 10 times and then they'll break the whole thing and accidentally close it, and we will never say, haha, what an idiot. No, because we've all done the same thing.
Yeah, you'll say, haha, I made the same mistake. You know, you're with them in the despair. But there's also
it's your turn to struggle with Git today, but we have all struggled in the past.
Yeah, that is for sure. Now I've done the commit, what I want to be doing is getting my branch merged into the main one. So we need that request, which is a pull request.
Correct. So what you first need to do is push it from your computer to your remote.
See, this is what I was talking about. Like, you're going to push it somewhere and then pull it somewhere else.
You've got to push it to your
mine. And yes.
Your version of OpenTTD that is on GitHub.com. You can just click the push button, which is right below the commit button.
Right. Yes.
What that is asking is, which branch do you want to push to on your remote? So yes, you are pushing to whatever you select in that branch. So that is correct. You want to push to max reliability.
Okay. Right. There we go. It was pushed 45 seconds ago.
Yeah. So hit the big compare and pull request button.
There we go.
And now what this does is it shows you the template. So you've already done the commit message. What you can do is delete those comments out. This helps us understand why a change is made. So you've got motivation/problem and then description. So motivation/problem could be, I want to know how reliable a train could be if I serviced it, but I can't without going to the depot.
Yeah, what problem are you solving? Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
When I open a pull request and someone finds a bug that I should have caught in my testing, that's the only time I really get embarrassed.
Yeah, there's a difference between bugs in general and bugs you should have caught, right? But also that comes with experience, because you don't, I mean, like I say, I've got bits of developer background throughout my life, so I've got a little bit of nous to go, actually, we looked at one vehicle, but you should probably look at all the other vehicles, whereas somebody who's brand new might not have that kind of that intuition to think of that sort of thing. So it is a skill that you build over time, and if you're brand new, you're gonna miss things like that.
Even if you're not, I mean, I didn't think that, oh yeah, we should test other vehicles too. I happen to know they all have that same info screen is shared, but we should test it.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't until I wrote the word vehicle until, it then popped up in my head. Right, so here's the pull request. The preview looks good. I'm happy with the information. We can do create.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, there we go. There it is.
And now you wait. I probably should not review it because I walked you through coding it. No one can approve their own code. That was pretty obvious. Because I showed you how to code this, and I coded it last week the exact same way, so I would know how to do it. This would effectively be me approving my own pull request, so I won't. But what will happen next is another reviewer will come along, and they will either give you feedback or they will approve it.
Thank you very much for guiding me through this process. It's something that, I'm lucky enough to have you here to help me with, but there's a whole community of people doing exactly what we've just done, right? It may not be a video call, but there are people both on GitHub with the comments and the help, and in the Discord, where this process of somebody new coming along, adding something to the game, people helping them out with how to do it, the documentation that I followed the documentation to get OpenTTD onto my computer locally and compiling. I managed to go through that and do that myself. So, I've done this, and fingers crossed it all goes in and works. and we'll see that in a second. But for now, thank you very much for guiding me through this process of this experience of adding something to the game.
You're welcome. I look forward to seeing it in OpenTTD 16.
Yeah.
Good luck.
That will be weird. That will be very weird. There was simply too much of this conversation with Too Tall Tyler to fit into this video. Because of that, my Viewer Plus subscribers and YouTube channel members will be getting a much longer cut that includes background information and a bunch of fun side quests. If you want to support the channel, check out Viewer Plus on my website or become a channel member today. I don't know. Do I continue to add things to the game? I don't know. I've for so many years now, I've had to say to people, I don't dev OpenTTD. And then there was controversy when I started writing scripts for the mods. There's going to be so many people arguing now that I can't say that I'm not a dev in some sort of amount. There was already those conversations when I was doing mods, contributing to the core of OpenTTD. I think is going to be something that a lot of people will say that's it. He's a dev now. He's a liar. Yes, this is strange because I've played the game for so long, more than 20 years, and even though this is a very tiny change in the game, and even if I never do anything else again to the core code, I've left my little tiny mark, my little contribution, my little Lego brick in the big building of what is OpenTTD. So it was your idea, and we've done it. And I'm going to, at this moment, assume that it eventually does get approved and put in the game. But based on that assumption, I'll say thank you very much for suggesting it, guiding me through the process, and allowing me to put my little mark on the game.
You're very welcome. My hope for this whole video is that we will have inspired one person who's watching in chat right now to do the same thing, to find something about the game that they want to improve or add, and they open a pull request, and one more person gets to be involved. That's my goal.
Well, we'll leave it there for me and you, and we'll move on to the next bit of the video that will hopefully show me celebrating this being in the game. But for now, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Right, bye. So my request was reviewed and I got some feedback. We decided there that we needed to change the format a little to include the word max to make it clear to the player. Once this had been done, the request was approved and merged, which means the code was officially inside OpenTTD. So if you go to the website and download the nightly version of OpenTTD, you can see this brand new feature I added to the game. However, you will need to wait until version 16 to see this in a main release. I am so incredibly pleased and proud to be even a tiny part of what makes this game absolutely fantastic. I want to not only thank Too Tall Tyler, but also all the other developers and community members that make OpenTTD what it is. Now, do you think I should add more features to the game? Has this inspired you to add your own features perhaps? Let me know down in the comments what you think. If you didn't catch the OpenTTD developer interview, there's going to be a link on screen and in the video description, along with another fantastic OpenTTD video. I'll see you there. Take care, thanks for watching, and for now, goodbye.